You with your yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. We're back with a new episode of Translating Love with me, Wifey.
And Danny.
And today is a snow day.
Which neither of us is happy about.
No.
Last week we had like summer weather.
Yes.
And today it's snowing.
And on the weekend, apparently it's going to be warm again, but it's just snowing the last, 24 hours or a little longer. And it's super weird.
Yep.
But yeah, how are you doing today?
Besides being pissed at the snow, good. Work was really busy, but it made the time go really fast.
Mm-hmm.
And there was like one point of the day where it was super chaotic and stressful, but other than that, it was like a good half hour of time. But
That's
otherwise,
good.
it was good.
That's good.
How are you today?
I'm good. I worked a lot today. I mean, not really.
I was going to say when we were walking this afternoon, you were like,
no, it was a slow
you don't
day.
have that much to do.
It was a slow day, but it was fine. I did some stuff in the afternoon, and I have enough things to do the rest of the week, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
And otherwise, I'm okay.
Good.
Not super great, but also not super dull.
Why not super great?
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know the last time I was super great.
Wait. Oh, yeah. I don't know. I don't know. The weather kind of brings me down a little bit, and conversations that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
we won't go into that.
No. But thanks everybody for listening and for sharing if you do, and also for rating the podcast on Apple Podcast. And yeah, I don't know. I have a few. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I have a feeling we sometimes have a hit or miss on the topics.
But I think that's also normal with most podcasts have that. There are some that are like super popular and some that are not so popular.
Yeah, no, sure.
It's a learning experience.
It's a learning experience.
We also had talked about how we might be kind of changing the podcast a little bit. Not so much, but not really super, super like every time focusing on stuff that has to do with relationships, like problems or things that you face, which we have been doing, I think, pretty solidly for the last year.
Yeah.
With a couple exceptions. But we're also like wanting to go more towards topics that just interest us.
Yeah.
Because it's still nice to open up conversation with each other. That's kind of the whole point of why we started this.
Yeah.
So we'll still always come back to the roots of the podcast, but we're also exploring new things to see how it goes. So, and to see how you all like it.
Right. And the first thing will be tantric sex. No, the first thing will be the little poop chair helper.
No, the first thing will be this episode, which you've probably read the title of already, which is just talking about like things that we are watching, like shows and movies that we like and why we like them and just like, I don't know, especially I think in times like this, it's good because I think a lot of people are stuck at home and probably watched through Netflix and watched through everything that there is to watch.
Yeah.
So maybe we can give you some new things to watch that are heartwarming and
yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go into shows first.
Okay.
I think one show we just started a couple of days ago and we have been not binging, but we have consistently watched is We Are Who We Are.
It's so good.
And it's from this
Italian director
who did, what is the movie called?
Call Me By Your Name.
Call Me By Your Name.
If you have not seen Call Me By Your Name, I mean, we'll talk about that one briefly when we start talking about movies, but holy cow.
Yeah, the creator is Luca Guadagnino or whatever. I have no idea how to say his name.
Guadagnino, I would say. I don't know.
Yeah. He's Italian, and he I don't know. I like his style. It's very artsy and
very artsy.
slow, but he pays attention to like super subtle things and just like
I mean, for me, like
he's a master of portraying just relationships of people.
Yeah. Well, and also like at certain ages too, like he's really good at
coming of age.
Not just coming of age though, but
Not
he's
just.
good at portraying all ages very accurately.
Yep.
And this like kind of I would just say like the human experience.
Yeah.
Because it's not his, I mean, it's the same with the movie, but with the show I've been noticing too, where there's not a massive plot to it where you would say this is what it's about.
No.
Or where you could say that in a sentence with what it's about. But it's so engaging and so like you can't take your eyes off of it, and it's so nice to watch.
Also he's very strong in like the LGBTQ like topic community, and so he incorporates that in his movies or show in this case, and he normalizes it. He just normalizes. It's just normal. It's not something
it's not like
super talk about.
And it's not like a thing in the show where they're like, oh, you're this or you're that or that's how you identify. Like, it's not talked about. It's just this is who this person is.
Right.
And it's really beautiful. And
yeah, that's a great show.
It's a great show. So it's called We Are Who We Are.
And it's on HBO Max or Sky in Europe.
Yeah. And it's very, very good. Highly recommend.
And another, yeah, we've been binging basically
There's
Home
a lot of
Improvement.
stuff we're binging.
Yeah, Home Improvement or Hör mal, wer da hämmert in German. I don't know. It's just,
Can I just say the German title of that show?
Hör mal, wer da hämmert.
Is basically like, listen who's hammering.
Yeah. Listen who is hammering. It kind of works. It's stupid. It kind of works.
So dumb. I love it.
The thing is, I feel like the show should be called Tool Time and not Home Improvement.
I like Home
Improvement.
Improvement.
But at the same time, Home Improvement
Home
totally
Improvement's
works.
actually kind of intelligent.
It works, yeah. But it's
because it's not just about
he improves
building
the
aspect. It's about the
aspect,
relationships and the family and.
But it's a stupid show. It's
so dumb, but it's so. If you grew up in the 90s watching that show, it's so nostalgic to watch it.
Yeah.
And it's also so interesting to get a perspective on it as an adult versus as a kid.
That's
because
true.
there's so much that you pick up on that you didn't pick up on as a kid.
That's true.
And I love it. I love it so much.
It's
so
also,
good.
the humor changed so much.
So much.
There are some things that stayed, but most of it just completely changed.
Yeah.
And it's so weird. Things that were considered to be funny then are not that funny anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, sexism and stuff like that plays a little bit of talk. It was a family show.
It plays a lot into it, but the cool thing about it is that show I think was very far ahead for the time it came out in terms of like, it's not just sexist and letting it be sexist. There are sexist moments and then those moments get called out. And I think that's really, that's not something you saw in the 90s that much.
If you think about Heidi, like the show presenter in Tool Time, she is like this, all the men like go there because they want to see her. But at the same time, in the show itself, she's not portrayed as this sexy woman. And they never reference that and they never talk about that because it's not.
They do talk about it sometimes, but not often.
But not to the extent where you think like, oh, it's like, okay, that's inappropriate or something like that, And at some point, she also gets a backstory and like a little side story too. And sure, Jill, for example, the wife of Tim, is also very like modern and like a strong, independent woman.
Yeah,
which is kind of cool to see that. Yeah. What else?
We're also watching on Amazon Prime.
Oh yeah,
The Invincibles.
Invincible, no, just Invincible.
Oh, it's just Invincible?
Yeah, because he is invincible. That's his name.
Okay, and Invincible.
It's a show, like an animation, and it's from, I think from Robert Kirkwood. Robert Kirk?
I don't know. It's an animated series.
Yes.
It is not for children.
No, Robert Kirkman. He is also the guy who created The Walking Dead, like the comics.
And it's it's like a superhero style show, but very graphic.
Yeah, he's known for those really graphic, brutal novels.
But also funny, also kind of heartwarming at points, also coming of age. It's like a lot of it's a lot of themes into one.
Yeah.
And it's really good. And
It's
it's got
really
a great cast, like
Yeah.
a fantastic cast.
I mean, the weird thing is we're kind of like with The Boys and Marvel and all that stuff. It's a lot of superhero stuff.
Yeah.
But this, it
But it feels different to me.
It does allow a few things different, and the fact that it's animated and so they can basically do anything makes it stand out.
I think, it
definitely.
feels definitely different to me.
Yeah. But I think that's it from shows that we are watching. You're watching.
I mean, we're also watching like Marvel shows, like
the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
We just finished WandaVision recently, which is also phenomenal.
It was a great show. Yeah.
Obviously, if you're not into the superhero stuff, you probably won't like it. But if you are,
I think
we're kind of nerds for it.
I think the problem is with that show, you have to be into, like, story-wise, you have to know the characters and have to know the backstory.
I wouldn't necessarily say you have to know the characters, but you do need to know a little bit of the backstory.
That's what I mean. You have to know those characters and their backstory.
Because I knew basically nothing from Wanda and from Vision.
Sure.
But thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, I knew what had happened before it started.
That's exactly what I mean.
But that's all you need.
You can't just go in and watch it without haven't seen any of the Avengers or other Marvel movies, which is kind of sad because it limits the people who could watch it.
But I mean, that's also millions and millions of people who watch it.
Sure, but it's a great show.
Yeah, it's great.
And you're watching Desperate Housewives.
For like the millionth time, I'm watching Desperate Housewives. That is my all-time favorite show. I don't call it a guilty pleasure show because I have no guilt in watching it. But it's I think it's good. It's a little trashy, but not to the extent where it's like, good Lord, that's just bad television.
I remember some episodes and they were outrageously dumb. Like things happen in that Mysteria Lane where you think like, what the fuck is going on? Well,
the thing is, everything that happens on Wisteria Lane would never happen on one street in the amount of time that the show takes place. It is ridiculous.
And I think they did a good job in ending it before it got too bad.
I agree. There is not a single bad season, in my opinion, of the 8 seasons that there are.
It's consistently bad or good, however you want to see it.
Consistently good. And also the writing, I mean, it's good writing. They write the characters very well. There's really good character development throughout, like really good.
That's true.
They do a really good job with the characters like growing and just it's just good. It's really good. And the writing is exciting and, it's sometimes thrilling, sometimes a little creepy. It's really, really good.
It's funny. I listened to Dax podcast today, and Rachel Bilson is on it. And she has a podcast called California Bitches. And they're doing a rewatch podcast to OC California.
The OC. Woof. That's another one I really want to watch, but you can't find it anywhere. I loved that show.
It's not streaming here right now, no.
But Desperate Housewives is one of those ones that I watched all the time. And that was always my go-to if I was bored. And once I started it, I didn't stop until I was finished with every season. But then I came here and it wasn't on Netflix here and it wasn't anywhere else. So I have been waiting and now it's on Disney Plus. So I'm watching it for the first time in 4 years. So there's actually a lot that I missed or that I forgot. And I'm very excited.
Yeah, I've been contemplating restarting Justified. That's a great show, and I have only watched it once, and I kind of want to rewatch it again. It's only 5 seasons, and it's super good. But yeah, other than that, I watch Superman and Lois right now, like a little bit.
Yeah, I watched one episode with you, and I was not about that.
I love Superman, and it's not a bad show. It's not amazing.
See, I like Superman, but it's CW, and I feel like CW just doesn't. I don't know. The quality of the shows they put out in terms of the writing is I can't handle the writing.
Yeah, it doesn't offend me to the point where I'm not. But I keep watching and see what it like. I like it so far, but I love the characters. So let's take a quick break. And we're back. So movies. We almost never watch movies. That's not true.
We watch, because of who I'm married to, we watch a movie every single night with very few exceptions. There are sometimes an exception, like if, I want to have a night alone and watch something on my own or watch Desperate Housewives. Or like if you want to watch something that I'm not into or I'm not up for watching, then we'll occasionally not watch something together. But every single night, otherwise, we watch a movie. Which makes it impossible for my brain to remember what movies we've seen and have not seen.
A movie that stood out in the last couple of weeks was definitely Nomadland. That is on Hulu right now, and I think is coming out here in Europe in May. And it's a great movie.
It's great. It's also very, I would say, heartwarming. And
it's just a really cool, like, I mean, technically it's a road movie. And it's about Frances McDormand's character who is like has to leave the house or the town where she lived many years, and her husband died, and she decides to basically live in the van. And so she travels from place to place and meets a lot of people. And the cool thing about the movie, the aspect of the movie, is that the people who she meet are real people. So they basically went up to them beforehand and talked to them, and the people with the more interesting stories and just interesting characters, they asked if they want to be in the movie as themselves. And it's just a really cool experience to hear real people explain their stories in like this. It's basically a documentary a little bit, and it feels really cool. It was made very well, like with a really small crew, and it feels very, I don't know, different and personal and
very
intimate.
Personal. Yeah,
it's a really good movie. I really like that one. And I mean, another one I watched alone was The Color Purple. I've never seen that one. I mean, it's Spielberg, and that movie just is so fucking good. It's weird because it's this really tragic story of abuse, and slavery is a topic, of course, because it's set in early 1900s in America, and it's like this black community, and they're all friends and stuff, or like the two sisters are really close, and then they lose each other through years, and she has to marry this really
don't give the whole
no but she has to marry this really really abusive and horrible guy. And it's just a really, really cool story about this really strong woman who in the end learns how to be independent and doesn't give a shit. And she just comes out of the whole misery in this very beautiful way. And it's weird because it's like you could technically watch it with younger, like with 10, 12-year-olds, no problem, because the messages are sublime and there's no scene where it's like, oh, wow, you can't show that to like a kid. But as a grown-up...
You mean the messages are subtle?
Yeah, right. So you know what's going on as a grown-up. As a kid, you don't necessarily know what's going on all the time. You know that person is treating her not well, but that's it. So it's technically a family movie, and I think it has a really positive, good, and important message. And I think that movie should be seen at least once. It's a great movie. 1986. Yeah, 1986. Is there another movie we watched that really stood out?
I mean, not recently, but we mentioned Call Me by Your Name.
Sure.
That's probably in the top 5 of my favorite movies that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And probably will never leave the top 5. But it's just so beautiful. And it's very like if you are like feeling nostalgic for summer, or if you currently have summer where you are and you're just like wanting to stay in that summer vibe, it's a great movie to watch.
Yeah.
It's again, I mean, it's hard to say what the plot is.
I mean, it's
typically just, I mean, it's basically just like this young boy, teenage boy, who lives in Italy with his family and starts to question his sexuality,
right?
Basically. But it's just his daily, like day-to-day life within a span of a couple of months, basically.
Basically a summer. It's just a summer.
And it's beautifully shot.
And this guy comes to work there for his dad, and things happen, and that's it. That's the whole story, basically. But the whole... it's just the whole package of the movie. It's so beautiful shot. It's
even the sounds are beautiful. Like
soundtrack,
everything about it is so
the
good.
images, everything is so nice, and it just makes you feel good to a certain extent. And it's sad, but it's just a really, really powerful movie.
It's beautiful.
And I mean, a movie that I always like to show people and I like to rewatch is The Way Back.
It's another good summer film.
Which is also a really nice summer film, but at the same time also a really good coming-of-age movie about this boy who basically has to drive with his mom and new stepdad to this like house at a lake. And he works at a water park there. And finds new friends and has like this really amazing experience. It's more out of the perspective of the boy, but it's a really good movie and has a great cast. Is funny and just a really good feel-good movie. You should totally check that out if you haven't seen it and if you want to watch something heartwarming, fun, and light. I mean, tonight we're going to watch Shaun of the Dead. Shaun! Which is a classic. If you have not seen Shaun of the Dead, you should totally watch it.
If you haven't seen Shaun of the Dead, what are you doing with your life? I mean, let's be real.
I mean, it's Edgar Wright, Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, like the three most amazing and funny British people in the last 2 decades, basically. And it's this most outrageously funny horror comedy, horror romantic comedy with zombies. That's what they say. Yeah, and it's just really funny. If you don't like horror movies, don't be afraid. It's really funny. It's not funny at all.
It's not really scary,
and it's just heartwarming, and it's just a classic. And the bloopers. If you haven't watched the bloopers, go on YouTube and watch them. They're funny. You pee yourself. And I just wrote down like a little must-see film list, in my opinion, which I'm going to link to in the description of the podcast, so you can look up some movies. And one of them on there is all of them are on there we just mentioned. But there's also one on there we haven't mentioned yet, which is called Roma. It's on Netflix. It's a Netflix production, and it's a really, really good movie, shot in black and white. And it's a little autobiographical by the director. And it's basically about the life of like this maid or this she's kind of nanny.
She's a nanny, but
in like
a live-in maid, basically.
Mexico in like the 80s, I think it's the 80s. And it's a really beautiful story. Like every frame of that movie could be hung somewhere as a picture. And it's amazing. That movie is amazing. Really, really good. It's sad partly, but it's heartwarming and beautiful.
Yeah.
It's just a great movie. Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there are any other movies that have like changed my life. Man on the Moon is one that's also in my top 5, which is with Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
There are comedy aspects to it, but it's more of his dramatic side.
I mean, he's portraying Andy Kaufman.
He's portraying Andy Kaufman.
And he was a comedian,
but also had a lot of mental health issues and depression, and but it's not only a beautiful story, but it's also funny, and I wouldn't say it's lighthearted because it is more of a drama.
It's more of a drama,
but that's one of my top movies as well.
Yeah, R.E.M. wrote the song for the movie. The main song or the theme. No, not the theme song. It's more the credits song. Man on the Moon. That's a good movie.
It's. I think.
There's also.
I think it's fun to.
There's a cool the documentary on Netflix about Jim Carrey making the movie. Do you remember that one? What is it called? Jim Carrey and Andy Kaufman, or versus Andy Kaufman, something like that. And it's basically about the making of and how he basically was in character all the time. And he made it really complicated, partly for the crew and for the director. But you can see his brilliance and how he devoted himself to that role. And it still shocks me that he never got an Oscar for that role.
Yeah.
He got nominated for, I think he got a Golden Globe, but he never got an Oscar, and that bothers me so much because the movie is brilliant. It's a really good movie. Yeah.
But I think it's fun to watch things with your partner, and because I think it also strikes up conversation. In our case, sometimes also a few arguments.
Oh yeah. We've argued about some movies.
And mostly argued about like our interpretation of them, or like what we think is art and what's not. But it's fun to watch stuff with your partner, and you can like, there's so much out there. You can totally, you don't just have to always stick to the same thing, or like always romantic comedies or always drama. But
I like to get more into documentaries, like documentaries that teach you something. I am not super into like the true crime things, but like
I am.
Seaspiracy I watched on Netflix, and it's just crazy insane. I just watched the Bee Gees documentary. I'm not a super Bee Gees fan, but that documentary just blew my mind.
Speaking of documentary, Billie Eilish documentary.
We watched that one.
Oh my God.
On Apple TV. It's
amazing.
Insanely good. More like a vlog, not really a documentary, but super good.
I also have a very deep love for Billie Eilish, so I'm slightly biased, but
that's great.
It's phenomenal. It is so good.
Yeah, but I agree. And also, I mean, we also watch things separately. If you're not into what I want to watch, then we watch it separately. I watch it alone, and you watch something else. And yeah, that's a good way to spend your time these days.
Yeah. But again, it's also it's kind of a fun way to like step outside of your usual of what you tend to watch together and watch something new, try something new, and talk about it. Maybe it strikes up good conversation. Maybe it opens up new doors for like things to watch. And film really is an art form, and it's really fun to explore that realm.
Especially, I think, if you look for something that I don't know, puts up some interesting topics or some thought-provoking topics.
Yeah.
Because,
I mean, it's obviously also like, it's not like you have to do that all the time, like every time you watch something. But it is, I mean, it's good for your brain, and it's good for your relationship to have like things to talk about, and that strikes up conversation. But it's also good to watch mind-numbing stuff and laugh your asses off, like Wet Hot American Summer, for instance.
Ooh, great
and
movie.
just laugh until you can't laugh anymore.
Great movie and series. Yep, that's it. I could talk hours about that.
I could talk hours just about Call Me By Your Name.
So, but let's stop here. That's it. Please let us know what you think of episodes like that. So we might do more of those or might not.
And if you watch any of our recommendations, let us know what you think. You can reach out to us on Instagram or on our website, or whatever.
Yeah. And other than that, share the podcast. And follow us on, or not follow us, subscribe to the podcast.
You can follow us on Instagram.
And
and just to anybody who is interested in the course that I have on Listenable, that is still available. It's listenable.io. You can search for my
I put it in the
course title, Strengthening Your Relationship. And if you want a discount on basically like a membership for signing up for the courses, its discount code is Danielle Steiner, and that's all one word. And you get 30% off.
Oh, that's amazing.
And to anyone who's already participated, they have actually more students than I thought that I would, and I really appreciate you. So thanks for listening.
That's great. Okay.
Bye. Goodbye.